Hi.
My name is REESA.
My name is SYARENA. My name is Hajar. My name is S.YAALLINI. We will be conducting experiment 1, which is synthesis and analysis of copper coordination compound.
In experiment 4, copper coordination compound having the general formula as follows was synthesis and analysis by using 3 analytical techniques, which are gravimetric, volumetric, and spectrophotometric. By using gravimetric analysis, the sulfate ion can be determined. Gravimetric analysis determines the mass or concentration of a substance by measuring a change in mass. Besides, the volumetric analysis was using to determine the ammonia molecule. The volumetric analysis refers to titration. One substance of known concentration and volume is used to react with another substance of unknown concentration. Spectrophotometric analysis was used to determine the copper ions in the complex. This analysis we using the UV visible spectrometer to measure how much a chemical substance absorbs light by measuring the intensity of light. Now I will summarize the result obtained from the experiment. The experimental empirical formula was monohydrated heptaamine copper 2 sulfate. The copper complex was a dark blue crystal. The structure was square planar.
The objective of this experiment is to synthesize copper coordination compound and to analyze copper coordination compound using gravimetric analysis, volumetric analysis, and spectrophotometric analysis. Part A. Synthesis. 10 g of CuSO4 5H2O is weighed and transferred into beaker. The solid is dissolved in deionized water and 20 ml concentrated aqueous NH3 is added. Then 10 ml of ethanol 95% is added dropwise into the solution, stirring continuously and cool down to room temperature. Meanwhile, the solution of 15 ml of concentrated aqueous NH3 and 15 ml ethanol 95% is prepared and left in fume cupboard. The copper compound crystal is filtered using vacuum filtration by washing the crystal with 10 ml of ammonia ethanol solution, 10 ml of ethanol 95% and 10 ml of acetone. All of this washing is repeated twice. The crystal is collected in a small beaker and keep it in the locker. Part B. Analysis. 1. Gravimetric analysis of sulfate ion. 2 samples of crystal is weighed about 0.9 to 1.1 gram. The sample is dissolved in 10 ml of nitric acid and added dropwise 5 to 6 ml of lead acetate until precipitation is complete. The filter paper is weighed and used for filtering precipitate by gravitational filtration. The beaker is rinsed with 5 ml of distilled water and the rinsing water is used for washing the precipitate. Finally, the precipitate is washed with 10 ml of acetone. Then filter paper along with the solid recovered is taken out and placed on the wash glass and dried in an oven at 80 degrees Celsius. The precipitate along with the filter paper is weighed when they completely dry. Then the weight of precipitate alone is determined and recorded in the book.
Next is volumetric analysis on NH3. Accurately weigh 2 samples of the crystal prepared in Part A. Analyze the sample with the following procedure. The sample was dissolved in 30 ml of distilled water in an aluminium flask. As soon as we can, 10 drops of methyl orange indicator is added into the solution and then titrate with HCl 0.5 molar. The color will change from dark blue to reddish orange at the end point. Record the titration result. The last part is spectrophotometric analysis on Cu2+. 6 test tube is cleaned and dry and labeled as 1 to 6. Test tube 1, 2, 3 and 4 are going to be used for calibration. A series of standard calibration solution and sample solution are prepared as listed in Table 1. The absorbent for each standard solution and sample are measured at 645 nanometer. A calibration plot is prepared by plotting absorbance of standard solution as a function of concentration. From the calibration plot, the concentration of CO2 plus is determined in sample.
Synthesis of copper coordination complex was done by reacting copper sulfate solution with concentrated ammonia. Concentrated ammonia solution was used as the solvent for the ligand substitution reaction. Moreover, a less polar solvent, which is ethanol, was used to precipitate out the deep blue color of copper complex. Gravimetric analysis was done by dissolving the copper complex completely in concentrated nitric acid. This was done to decompose the complex into free-moving ions. Later, the decomposed substance was added into lead-3 acetate in order to precipitate out lead-2 sulfate compound. The average weight of the white precipitate obtained was used to determine the composition of sulfate ion in the copper complex. We obtained an average composition of 36.16% of sulfate in the copper complex synthesized. In the volumetric analysis, acid-base titration was used to determine the composition of ammonia ligand in the copper complex. Ammonia acts as a weak base which was titrated against strong hydrochloric acid. Since the titration process was done between weak base and strong acid, therefore methyl orange was used as the indicator. As the titration reaches the endpoint, the solution turns from dark blue into greenish yellow color. The average composition of ammonia obtained was 34.00%. In the spectrometric analysis, 6 test tubes with different concentrations of copper solution were used. 4 test tubes were used for calibration purpose, while 2 test tubes were used for the copper samples. Nitric acid was used to dissociate the ammonia from the copper complex. Moreover, distilled water was used as the blank sample as the copper solution were dissolved in the distilled water. In the calibration test tubes, the concentration of the copper complex solution was increased, which causes the absorbance of the visible light to also increase, transmitting low intensity of visible light. Theoretically, according to the absorbance value, the purple color from the color wheel should have been absorbed, transmitting a greenish yellow color. But what we have observed is that the complex taking up a dark blue color. This might be due to the presence of other impurities in the copper complex that might have affected the absorbance value. The intensity graph obtained through the absorbance value was converted into a linear graph with the following linear equation. Through interpolation, the unknown concentration of copper in the sample was determined. The average percentage of copper ion in the complex obtained was 24.60%.